What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, July 8th, 2026, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now it is 15:35 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from Iran. So major escalation taking place last night. The U.S. launched a massive airstrike campaign on Iran, targeting over 80 military targets in Iran, including coastal radar sites, air defense sites, anti-ship missile locations, and also the IRGC Navy was attacked. Apparently, the U.S. destroyed 30 IRGC boats. So a massive bombing campaign last night against Iran. And now essentially, or officially, the ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran is over, okay? Trump confirmed it today at the NATO summit. He said that the memorandum of understanding has ended. He said he doesn't want to deal with the Iranians anymore. He said they're sick people. He also said that we hit them very hard last night, and we're going to hit them hard again tonight. He said, I'll give them a little warning. We're going to hit them hard tonight, okay? So more strikes this evening and or tonight. When that happens, I will be going live to cover it, so make sure you have your notifications turned on. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at NYPrepper1. Make sure you download my free app in the Google Play Store. The link is in the description down below. It lets me send out notifications directly to your phone. And if you haven't used my app for a while, make sure you actually periodically open the app, because if you haven't used it for a while, you're not going to get alerts. So just click the icon on your phone and open the app, so this way you can get alerts from me, so I can notify you when this is all going down, okay? Trump also said that he may take over Karg Island, and if you're not familiar with Karg Island, that's the massive oil terminal in the Persian Gulf that is controlled by Iran. It's an island in the Persian Gulf, part of Iran's territory. So he's saying that the U.S. may seize Karg Island. We know that Trump has threatened to do that in the past. And again, that's a major Iranian oil export hub, okay? He also reiterated that we will not allow Iran to possess a nuclear weapon. So I want to just play some clips for you here from the NATO summit. He also said the Iranians are liars and cheaters and that they're sick people, and he doesn't want to waste his time on the Iranians anymore. He said he's going to let Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner keep talking with the Iranians if they want, but he said he doesn't see a point in doing that anymore. Trump also said that Iran is the source of the problems in the region. So let me just play some clips here. Here's Trump with Zelensky talking about it.
28. We knocked out 28 boats last night, little ones. That's all they have is little ones.
Are you going to try to take out more tonight?
Will we go tonight? You know, normally I wouldn't tell you. I wouldn't tell you, but you know what? There's not a thing they can do about it. So the answer is probably.
President Trump?
There's not a thing they can do about it. So the answer is probably. I wouldn't tell you, but you know what? There's not a thing they can do about it. So the answer is probably.
President Trump?
Okay, so Trump confirming that he will strike Iran again tonight, saying that there's nothing they can do about it. Here we have Hegseth confirming that the U.S. military is prepared to strike deeper into Iran on Trump's orders. So take a listen to this.
Target last night, and tonight, if we need to, on your order, Mr. President, we will hit even more and even deeper. And tonight, if we need to, on your order, Mr. President, we will hit even more and even deeper. And tonight, if we need to, on your order, Mr. President, we will hit even more and even deeper, because that's the consequence.
And we may put down the blockade. We may put it back, the blockade. And it'll only be a blockade for Iran. Anybody else can have whatever they want. Now,
Okay, so the Secretary of Defense Hegseth saying more targets and deeper targets, and then Trump saying they may reinstate the blockade of Iran.
Island last night, we knocked out a piece. I said, don't touch the oil, because maybe we'll take over Cargill. We may take over Cargill. There's not a thing they can do about it. But I said, don't hit the pipes, just hit everything else. And they hit it. They may hit it again tonight. So,
Wow, so he told the military not to strike the oil on Carg Island because Trump wants to take the oil. If they go and seize Carg Island by force, he wants the oil intact so he can seize it. Wow, that is very, very bold. Okay, let me play that for you again.
Don't touch the oil, because maybe we'll take over Cargill. We may take over Cargill. We may take over Cargill. We may take over Cargill. There's not a thing they can do about it. But I said, don't hit the pipes, just hit everything else. And they hit it. They may hit it again tonight.
All right, so they may hit it again tonight. And then here we have a longer version of him talking with the media.
President Trump, sir. President Trump. President Trump.
With the Iran ceasefire possibly over, can we expect the resumption of full-scale hostilities?
They are behaving very badly, as they have for 47 years. And, we hit them hard last night after they launched a couple of, you don't have to know about this, you got stuff on your mind, but they launched a couple of drones and one rocket, one missile, and at ships, because they were in the strait, which they have every right to be. And so we hit them very hard last night, very, very hard. Probably hit them hard again tonight. I'll give them a little warning, we're going to hit them hard tonight. But we'll see how it all works out. No, I'm not happy with them. It's like, for instance, we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about the denuclearization of Iran, because that's what the war is. It's not a war, it's really the denuclearization of Iran. And we'll have a meeting and we'll talk about just that. Just because my whole thing is not about regime change. It's not about, although I think it's regime change when you knock out the first group, the second group, and now you're at the, I think that's maybe the ultimate regime change. But that's not what it's about. It's about, we don't want them to have nuclear weapons. And it's denuking or denuclearization. And I think we've made a lot of progress. And they'll get out of the room. We'll talk about it like we're here. They'll agree on everything, and then they'll go and have a news conference and say we never even talked about it. They're cuckoo. There's something wrong with these people. And for 47 years, they've been the bully of the Middle East, and they're not the bully anymore. They're not the bully anymore. And all we want, it's very simple. They can't have a nuclear weapon. That's what I'm there for.
President Trump, sir. President Trump.
If they did, they'd use it, and we're not going to let that happen.
Okay, so that's what Trump said. Here's more of Trump.
Without a deal. Because you know what? It's easier. Because these people, they lie and they cheat, and you have an agreement, and they'll go outside. For instance, they agreed, well, we'll never have a nuclear weapon. They agreed. Then they go outside, they have a news conference, where they leak that we never discussed the subject. Now, who would believe we never discussed the subject? Because for me, that's 99.9% of what we're doing. It's denuclearization of Iran, okay? So when you ask, our guys can continue, Steve is great, and Jared, and all the guys.
All right, so Trump making it clear that he's interested in the denuclearization of Iran, and he's not really interested in other things. And right now, we have a U.S. nuke sniffer plane up in the air, and it did this interesting flight over Michigan. It flew along the western shore of Michigan and then came back to Stratcom headquarters. We also have two VIP planes that just left D.C. One flew to Fort Campbell, and one is over South Carolina right now. We also have this high-priority reconnaissance plane that just left D.C. and appears to be going over to Europe. This could be related to upcoming operations against Iran. It has the call sign Olive 34. We've always seen that same call sign with the olive in the call sign. Anytime something is going on in the Middle East, they tend to send that plane over to monitor the situation and assist in combat operations. And we do have some footage here that was released by the U.S. military. Very short video here showing the U.S. military striking some targets in Iran. And we don't really know a whole lot about what these targets are, but you can see multiple flashes here on the camera from the projectiles going kaboom. This looks like some kind of IRGC boat that they blew up. So just a very quick clip that the U.S. military posted. And then also we have some eyewitness footage here from the southern part of Iran in the Bandar Abbas region. There's a massive IRGC base. This is right in the Strait of Hormuz, right where the Strait of Hormuz makes that sharp bend. The Bandar Abbas is a city like right on the top of the Strait of Hormuz where that bend is, and there's numerous Iranian naval bases there. And here we have some footage of them getting hit last night by U.S. missiles.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa.
All right, so multiple impacts there. And then last night we had a ton of U.S. aerial refuelers over the Strait of Hormuz in the Persian Gulf supporting combat operations. We know that there were widespread outages of electricity in Kuwait. We know that Bahrain was attacked by multiple ballistic missiles in multiple waves. There were air raid sirens going off throughout the night. I counted at least 4 waves of attacks against Bahrain. We can confirm that at least 4 ballistic missiles were launched at Bahrain and at least 3 towards Kuwait. Also, the Iranians claimed to have attacked the major U.S. naval base, the 5th Fleet headquarters in Qatar, and they also claimed to have hit some kind of Navy base in Bahrain, and then they also claimed to have hit a U.S. base in Kuwait, the Ali al-Salam Air Base, and then they also said they shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone. So those are some pretty tall claims, but they did launch multiple ballistic missiles at Bahrain, Kuwait, the UAE, I think Qatar as well. So also they did launch drones and missiles at U.S. naval vessels as well. Okay, so this is rapidly escalating. And I think Trump is going to order a massive strike tonight on Iran. And a senior Emirati official told the Israeli Haaretz News that Iran will pay a very heavy price tonight. And Iranian media is reporting that all airports in the Hormozgan province have been closed until further notice. And the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, has officially canceled his planned visit to Israel today. Okay, so that's a big red flag right there that something is about to go down, and Israel has now raised its level of alert to maximum in anticipation for the strikes tonight and a resumption of the war with Iran. We're also hearing that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz canceled a planned military ceremony as Israel monitors the renewed U.S.-Iran clashes. Okay, so Netanyahu and Katz canceling their ceremony. This is huge news. I think we're going to see massive strikes tonight and over the next couple of days, in my opinion. Okay. And an informed Iranian source said Iran will not back down from controlling the Strait of Hormuz, The source warned the strait will be fully closed after any new U.S. strike and will remain closed until Iran decides to reopen it under its own arrangements in line with the Pakistan Memorandum of Understanding. The source added Iran would strike at least twice as many enemy targets in response to any future attack, and they're rejecting any alternative shipping routes and responding forcefully to any threat without distinguishing between the U.S. and its regional partners. So this is huge news, guys. Major escalations here. And the European Union Aviation Safety Agency issued a warning to all European airlines to avoid Iranian, Iraqi, and Lebanese airspaces now. Okay, so this is huge news. They're expecting something big to go down. And the Iranian president said, "We stand firm in defense of our rights." So Iran is not backing down. And the French President Emmanuel Macron said that the Iranian attacks on the ships 2 nights ago violated the Memorandum of Understanding, and the Iranians were wrong. So Macron backing Trump's strikes. And the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte said at the NATO summit today that it's absolutely necessary and totally crucial that the U.S. forcefully reacts regarding ships being attacked by Iran. And the Iranian Supreme Leader's chief advisor said that American actions will push the region towards fire. And an advisor to the president of the UAE said the Iranian attacks on the Qatari and Saudi commercial tankers in the Strait of Hormuz and the repeated aggression against our sister states, Bahrain and Kuwait, are a clear indication that Tehran is still capable of committing to what is incapable of committing to what is required to reduce escalation and erase the page of war. It is unacceptable for the Arab Gulf states to remain a target for Iran's hesitation between the logic of escalation and the path of rationality, stability, and peace. And new Sentinel-2 satellite imagery confirms that the IRGC Navy base in southern Iran sustained significant damage during yesterday's U.S. strikes. And 2 military bases in Iran's southern province of Bushehr were targeted in the attacks, according to a provincial official speaking to the Fars news agency. And Iranian media is reporting that there are now 8 killed in action after the U.S. launched the strikes last night in Bandar Abbas and Bushehr. So 8 Iranian troops killed in the strikes. And Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, said that 5,000 European sorties were launched from Europe to support the military operation against Iran so far. And the Chinese Foreign Ministry is calling on the U.S. and Iran to abide by the memorandum or the ceasefire and avoid resorting to force. So China is trying to calm everybody down, but it's not going to happen. And Iran's Central Military Command said any entity providing support to the aggressive U.S. military will be a legitimate target for the Iranian armed forces. Wow. And what you're looking at here is the Pentagon Pizza Index from last night, and you can see a massive spike in the District Pizza Palace, 500% spike in orders, which is very unusual for that late at night. Typically, these pizza places close, as they get closer to 11 p.m., midnight, they start closing down. But for there to be a massive spike so late at night means that the Pentagon is ordering a massive amount of pizzas to be able to feed all their analysts when they're monitoring contingency operations. And here we have a post from the Kuwaiti military here, Kuwaiti government, confirming that Kuwaiti air defenses are currently responding to hostile missile and drone threats. That was last night. Okay, so Kuwait did come under attack. And the Iranian Foreign Ministry said the violation of our arrangements in the Strait of Hormuz and continued Israeli strikes in Lebanon render the Memorandum of Understanding ineffective. The Foreign Ministry of Iran also said the illegal attacks and the decision to cancel the oil sales license have emptied parts of the Memorandum of Understanding of its content, and the U.S. attacks violate the first clause of the Memorandum of Understanding, which affirms the cessation of military operations. So interesting. It's okay for Iran to attack random ships going through the Strait of Hormuz. That's okay. But when we bomb Iran in response, so they don't do that, then suddenly we're the bad guy. And the chief negotiator for Iran and the Iranian parliament speaker, Ghalibaf, said reimposing oil sanctions on Iran violates the Memorandum of Understanding to end the war. And Trump approved the plan to strike Iran and order its execution while in Turkey last night for the NATO summit. So that was confirmed by a U.S. official to Axios. And a U.S. official said the U.S. strikes on Iran were 4 to 5 times bigger in scope and power than the previous strikes 10 days ago. And the U.S. official also said that Iran's actions in the Strait of Hormuz are unacceptable and warrant a firm response. He also said we were surprised by Iran's attacks on commercial ships amid the negotiations and Khamenei's funeral. And the Iranian Foreign Ministry is warning it will take any action it deems necessary to protect its interests and national security in response to what it calls America's breach of the agreement. And Iran's IRGC released a statement last night saying it launched a coordinated missile and drone attack on 85 U.S. military targets in Bahrain and Kuwait. And this is pretty interesting. Apparently, Trump announced that he has given Ukraine the permission, the licenses to produce their own Patriot missiles in Ukraine. So that's pretty interesting. So Ukraine won't have to wait to get deliveries. They can just build them themselves. And NATO's Secretary General made a comment to Putin and Russia. He said, "Don't play with us." Wow. He also said that he expects allies to reconfirm that Iran should never get its hands on a nuclear weapon. And Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen at the NATO summit commented about the Greenland situation, saying Greenland is not for sale. We hope that all allies will respect the Greenlandic people's right to self-determination. We are a sovereign state and we need everybody to respect our territorial integrity and our sovereignty. And the NATO Secretary General also said you cannot defend yourself with dollars, pounds, euros, or liras. You have to protect yourself with men and women in uniform. You have to recruit them. You need a defense industrial output. So he's basically calling on Europe to raise their defense industry spending and also to build their armies up. Okay, and it's not enough to just buy things. You have to actually build an army, which is different. Okay, and right now they're talking about raising the minimum threshold to 5% of GDP spending for all NATO countries. And Ukraine struck more oil refineries deep inside of Russia last night. What you're looking at here is a picture coming from the Tatarstan region of Russia, over 1,000 miles away from Ukraine, and they hit this massive oil refinery. You can see this huge plume of smoke on the horizon. Here's another picture. You can see all these plumes of smoke coming from the Nizhnekamsk oil refinery. So more oil refineries being hit. And the Russian Defense Ministry said that they shot down 415 Ukrainian drones last night. And the Kremlin released a statement about nuclear weapons usage. This is very concerning because there's been a lot of talk about Russia using nukes on Ukraine, especially because Ukraine has been so successful in targeting their oil and gas infrastructure with their drones and Flamingo missiles. So The Kremlin said Russia is prepared to use nuclear weapons only if its very existence is threatened. Russia will never start World War III, but will take whatever measures are necessary to ensure its own security. Okay, so that's a very vague response. All right, so they're basically saying we will use nukes in Ukraine if we have to ensure our security. And I want to remind you guys about the big news last week that the U.S. told Poland that Russia is planning to attack Poland, and the U.S. just moved thousands of troops to Poland because of that. They're moving them right now. Okay, so something big is about to go down in Eastern Europe as well as Iran. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on to monitor the situation in Iran, possible attacks tonight. So tune into my live stream. There's also a 24/7 live stream ongoing right now. You can hang out in the chat there, and my moderators will keep you updated of all the latest. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP Shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP Shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP Shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.